Hey everyone, this is WobblyWallaby. In this guide, I'll discuss which classes I believe new players should choose in Ragnarok Mobile. Ragnarok Mobile has lots of classes to choose from, so it can be difficult to know which one is best. I'll go over my thoughts on which classes I think are best and why, so stay tuned to find out. This video will also include a code giveaway. I have 10 global codes and 10 C codes. The winners will be chosen at random from this video's comments section on June 1st, 2023. To qualify, say which class is the best for new players, include which server you play on, which is C or global, and include your Discord name and ID so I can send the codes to the winners. I look forward to seeing your responses so I know which classes you people think are good and why. Next are some notes about the classes. ROM has many classes, but it is worth noting that these classes are not balanced. There are some classes that are much stronger than others. Although the devs are working on buffing some of the weaker classes, the stronger classes rarely get nerfed, so choosing unfair classes is a safe bet. Choosing an unfair class has the advantage that they are quite strong even if you're free to play. ROM has a system called Advanced Ruins, and you can get these ruins from doing weekly PvE instances, events, purchasing with BCC, or purchasing with in-game materials. Unfortunately, some classes heavily rely on these ruins, so you can't play it effectively if you do not have them. For example, the Gunslinger is considered the best high-end farmer in the game. However, that statement is only true if you're lucky enough to get the Flight Fire Shooting Star ruin with the high first line and the third line. A high first line means the first bullet point, which has a range between 30 to 100% to cast a homing missile, is high. Ideally you have 90% or higher. But that's not all. You also need to get the third line, which is the third bullet point. There's only a 10% probability to get this, and you need this in order to hit an extra target. If you don't have a great ruin, then you should not choose this class because it will not farm well. I have 4 classes to recommend for new players starting out. These will be good for existing servers or for any new servers that are released. In addition to the initial 4 classes, I will also give you 2 additional classes which I think people can transition to into mid to late game. This will give you some direction on what to strive for in the future. For all the 4 initial classes, I played them all on free-to-play accounts to better understand the new player experience, so I can't vouch for how effective these classes really can be. Although these classes have advanced ruins that will make them stronger, I'd argue that these classes can still be very efficient without any ruins, and therefore makes it excellent for new players. As you progress through the game, you should try to get as many advanced ruins as possible, and try to get the required advanced ruins for the other 2 classes I'll be mentioning. Thankfully, in the past year, you can now get free job change vouchers in-game by clearing the Panapi Museum or Lost Isles instance at Brave level or above when you hit the 4th job level. Previously, changing jobs would cost real money, or you'd have to wait for yearly events where you get a free voucher. This was a great change, especially for new players, since they can now progress with newbie-friendly classes and then transition into stronger classes later when they have the required ruins, without having to spend any money or needing to start another character on the same account. First is Priest. Priest is hands down the best support class in the game. If you'd like to support a team and be in high demand from parties, then this is the class to choose. You can become a priest by choosing the Acolyte class and then going down the line. Eventually you'll become Saint. I'd highly recommend you watch guides on instances, as people will be relying on you to know the mechanics. If you know the mechanics, you can better support your teammates and avoid dying. I'll put a link in the description for some guides for various instances. Priests are great for both PvE and PvP, as this class has many useful skills. The great thing about having lots of useful skills is that there's always plenty of stuff to do. There's never a dull moment, and you'll have plenty of buttons to press. But unfortunately that can also be seen as a downside, since it is a more difficult class to play with lots of depth and strategy. But this is also one of the most fulfilling class once you know how to play it well. Also, even without any advanced runes, priests can be very strong as some of their most useful skills are available. For example, the skill Resurrection lets you revive your teammates, which is a must for PvE and PvP. Next, the skill Faith Pray gives your ally invulnerability for 9 seconds, and this can keep your primary DPS or tank alive. Next, the skill Colossal Heal is an area of effect heal that will keep you and your party alive when being hit by AoE. For priests, they aren't very good at farming. If you are lucky enough to get the Shadow Wave skill through the Advanced Ruin Light and Shadow Ruin, then farming will be good since you can do AoE farming quite efficiently. Next is Blacksmith. You can become a Blacksmith by choosing the Merchant class and then going down that line. Eventually you'll become a Lightbringer. This class is known for its burst potential and farming ability. This is another class that is strong even without any ruins and even with lower end gear. For farming, Blacksmith has some great passives that allow it to get extra Zenny when killing monsters, get more Zenny when selling junk monster drops to the NPC, and getting higher drop rates. In addition, you can also craft weapons, alloys, and elite alloys which you can sell on the exchange for more money. For burst, this will come when you become the 4th job, which is Lightbringer, as you get the Pioneer and Machine Revolution skills, both of which have lots of multipliers that contribute to a high damage. Whenever you have damage that comes from various sources, it scales very well, especially as you get stronger and you can contribute more towards these sources. When it comes to one-shotting bosses, this is one of the best free-to-play classes to achieve that. But even if you're not very strong, you still have great party buffs. For example, some party buffs include Weapon Perfection for removing size penalty, repairing broken weapons, or the neutral barrier to protect your teammates from ranged physical attack damage. As good as this class is, I'd say one of the downsides is the burst requires good timing and knowledge when to use it. When compared to some of the other classes I'll mention, the continuous DPS is also not as good. Next is Doram. This is the class I most often recommend to people. This class has lots of utility and is very fun to play. This used to be my main class in PvE and helped carry many instances with my friends. I later on switched to more unfair classes, which I'll mention later. Also, this is currently my PvP class, as it's very useful in PvP as well. To become a Doram, you need to choose the Novice Male class and then go down the Witch line. Doram is the class's race name, which people often refer to, so I will use this name here. Dorams have many useful skills and is a mix of support and damage. For example, a common AoE skill you can spam for DPS is Lunatic Carrot Pound, which has high damage multipliers. Next is the skill Meowgrass, which can reduce the defense and magic defense of all enemies in range by 30%, and damage and magic damage reduction by 10%. This is an incredible skill for a party to deal more damage. Also, you have the skill Cat Transformation, which can let you resurrect your teammates, although there is a long cooldown so you cannot resurrect as quickly as a priest. One of the reasons I really like Doram is that there's a unique skill for physical damage Dorams, which is the Life Soul skill, which gives you more damage based on your HP. This allows you to have high damage while still being tanky. There are some other classes in ROM that need to balance survivability with damage, but Dorams can max vitality for more damage while being tanky. Personally, I prefer Doram over Mechanic because you have continuous DPS instead of burst damage. It's easier to plan and more straightforward. While Dorams have good AoE for farming, it cannot compete with Mechanics, since Mechanics have much better farming passives for earning more Zennies and increased drops. Next is Hunter, which you can choose by selecting Archer and then going down the line. Eventually you'll become a Stellar Hunter. If you have a guild that can help you with weekly instances so you can just focus on farming, then this class is great. Once you become a Stellar Hunter, which is the 4th job, you get the flexible AoE farming through Meteor Fission, which can give you tons of Zenny. Luckily, unlike Gunslinger, which I mentioned at the beginning of this video, you can farm efficiently even without any advanced ruins. By being the best free-to-play farming class, you can get a lot of Zenny, which will help you late game. You'll be able to purchase very expensive cards and gear. The raw Zenny that Stellar Hunters get will beat Lightbringers, And you also don't need to sell anything on the exchange either, since raw zenny is what you get from farming even without selling anything. There's often a problem where the exchange is full of resources, so even if you put stuff on the exchange, they will not sell. That is why raw zenny is very nice since you know exactly what you're getting. However, before you hit the Stellar Hunter job, your farming won't be as efficient as mechanics, so you'll have to be very patient. Luckily, you can level quickly since you can kill monsters quickly. This class is unfortunately very bad for weekly instances since you're weak in HP and damage. You also lack any good party buffs to help your team. Compared to the other 3 classes I mentioned, Stellar Hunter is the least useful class in a party for support. For PvP, SP Stellar Hunter is a popular build, so there is potential, but it is heavily reliant on gachas and expensive cards. Personally, I think Doram would be a better PvP option. Next are the 2 mid to late game classes you can transition to if you want to deal more damage in PvE instances. These classes heavily rely on good advanced ruins, and if you're lucky enough to get them, then you'll be very strong and capable of carrying a party through very tough instances. The first class is Taekwon, which eventually becomes the Apocalypse class. This class has insane DPS potential since auto attacks can proc skills to cast. Also, this class can convert attacks to any elements, which means you can deal extra damage. For example, when attacking a fire-type monster, you can use water to deal 100% extra damage. While other classes can eat consumables, not every elemental type is available, so Taekwons have a big advantage over stuff that cannot be converted easily. The required advanced rune to play this class is the Body and Heart rune. This allows your auto attacks to proc your skills without any delays, and this is a must-have. Luckily, it is a S rune, which means it's easier to obtain and roll for. There is a 6% chance to get the required third line, so it can take a while for you to get it. 2 disadvantages for this class is you do need high ignore defense, which often requires being lucky on enchants. Also, this class is a bit fragile, so it can die pretty easily. Its fragility also makes it not ideal for PvP and isn't used very often. The second class is Novice Guardian, which you can choose from the Advanced Novice line. This is the main class I played the most of since I think it's incredibly broken. The power comes from the multipliers used in the Card Tornado skill. There are a ton, which means your damage can be boosted very high through various sources and scales very well. Also, the advanced rune named Ruthless/Ruin lets you completely ignore defense, so you don't need to invest in ignore defense gear. You also don't have to worry about rolling for ignore defense and chance, which is an absolute pain. For legend instances, you would need 200% ignore defense for most physical classes, which is very high, but you don't have to care about that at all. This is why it makes it very unfair. For this rune, the generation probability is 10%, so it can be difficult to get. The other rune you need is the Swift Storm Star rune. This is the harder one to get since the chance to get a tornado to form around you is at 8% probability. This is also an S-star rune, which is a lot harder to get. You do need this rune since this will double your damage if you're standing next to your target. In addition to being very good in PvE instances, Novice Guardian is also pretty good in PvP. It's not a top tier class in the meta, although you can still use it since it's very strong, fast, and has good survivability. The 2 disadvantages of this class is you are stuck to the wind element type since that's what Card Tornado does, so you can't easily do extra damage like Taekwon. Also, you need 2 advanced runes to play efficiently, and the Star rune is painful to get. Well, that's all. I hope you enjoyed learning about which classes are the best for new players, and good luck choosing your class. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Here's a video that I would recommend, and if you want a playlist to learn more about the game, check it out here.